begin today with a little wager. Then in a couple months, we'll check back in and should have our answers. As per recent news, what are the odds of Fair Games getting canceled? Also, Double or Nothing on Marathon being delayed.
Marathon being delayed, I would bet that it comes out when they say it's going to come out.
Okay, like September.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, let's just interject with a sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Dude,
this game
shit
came
is
out
on fire at Bungie right now.
Yeah,
I don't even know. Like, I know Fairgrounds a name, and I've definitely seen like
it
a
used to have
splash
a
art.
$sign for the S.
Hell yeah!
I would bet that.
They want you
I would bet that game.
They
Here's
got rid
what's
of
going to
that.
happen. I don't think they're going to delay Marathon. I
No?
think it's going to do poorly,
Mhm.
and then they're going to cancel Fair Games.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy that. Well, I mean, it'll do better than Concord, probably, right?
What? Yeah, probably.
The grape juice.
Well, all right. So here's the other part two of this. If that game comes out in in bombs, which most assuredly will, what happens to Bungie?
They get shut down.
Oof.
They got rebought by PlayStation. Am I right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Damn.
For quite a bit of moolah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so now they are not returning the investment, which is why Marathon will most likely come out because they don't want to spend any more money on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But everybody at Bungie has been saying that they need to delay it because the public hates it.
Yeah.
And
Those tests
there
are-
have not been. They've already canceled like a beta test.
Yeah.
They're not like
And the stolen artwork thing happened.
And then the stolen
yeah.
artwork thing happened. Yeah, they're.
I mean, word on the street, our creators is way better,
I love that.
Mhm.
and they're going for pretty much the same audience. Maybe the only
Yeah.
exception being third person.
That
and
artist
first person.
that they stole from, like, she had like a reference to loss in her
Yeah.
in her work, and that ended up in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's how she knew.
Oh boy, creativity. Look, we talked about it earlier before the pod. Creativity's hard, guys. Outer Worlds, Outer Wilds.
What I think is extra amusing is that the Bungie also became an internal, I guess support like studio in terms of like where they were having them look at their other live service game. That's how the Last of Us factions got canceled. And
Yep.
was Bungie being like, this ain't gonna make any money.
No,
We know a little something about making
They
money.
were just guinea pigs.
If you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if you know your history, is very funny because when Destiny was an Activision product,
Mhm.
Blizzard was the support studio to turn Destiny into a more profitable.
Right, and
live
I think that's
service
also
game.
they had provided assistance on Overwatch to make that like a more tighter shooter or something.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
like it's, yeah,
And now they both suck.
yeah.
So- Oh boy, what a legacy.
Times are changing. So it should come to no surprise to anybody that has been around me for more than 10 minutes that I fucking adore the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise.
Speaking of legacy,
It not only sparked my interest in the sport, culture, and punk rock aesthetics, but also my love and pursuit of music. The very moment I heard Goldfinger Superman blasting out, my television speakers back in 1999, a whole new world was unearthed to me.
hell yeah.
A whole new world.
And
No, it goes like this. Here I am.
Wow.
no DMC. And for the debut of what would become a long-running series, they kind of killed it right off the bat. It instantly felt fresh, fast, fluid. The controls were tight, the trick system intuitive, the arcade-style objectives fun, which just makes it all the crazier that the soon-to-be sequels somehow managed to top themselves again and again. Every additional feature was welcomed with celebration. The larger soundtracks, the varied maps, the create a skater and create a park, the multiplayer modes, the guest characters, and the unlockable secrets, gaps, and movies, plus the increase in innovation with the manual, revert, wall rides, and spine transfers. Your combos could be massive. Developer Neversoft under publisher Activision, or Activision 02, was riding high with their kick-flipping baby through most of the late 90s and 2000s. We were eating good, and I couldn't get enough. Didn't matter what console. Later entries beyond 2, 3, my personal favorite, and 4 would go semi-open in structure, along with a heavier emphasis on storytelling with Underground 1, Underground 2 with its jackass-infused energy.
Oh, yeah.
They tossed in a little bit of BMX with American Wasteland. Project 8 invented the slow-mo nail-a-trick mechanic. Proving Ground, but that said innovation, it tapered. The foundation, however, was always strong, so much so that it led to them shattering records and bursting into the mobile space with the assistance of Vicarious Visions. Even those were rad. Not to mention the spawning of countless extreme spin-offs and wannabes. Many were even quite decent. Aggressive Inline, Matt Hoffman, Dave Mera, rest in peace, Supercross, there was the Sean Palmer snowboarding, Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, and that shockingly dope Disney clone that ran on the same engine.
That game rules.
Although they continued to reign supreme pretty much until EA's skating simulation titles grew their own audience into the 360 PS3 generation. It was also during this time that control of the IP would be handed over to a different studio, while Neversoft was assigned duty on the biannual installments of Guitar Hero in the midst of the rhythm game boom. Unfortunately, it was a rough few years for our boy Tony. What were once guaranteed commercial hits and critical darlings, earning several top spots of some of the best releases ever made. We're talking 97s and 98s on MC.
Some of the highest rated games of all time.
Mm-hmm. And they suddenly weren't achieving those numbers anymore. HD was a stumble. Ride and Shred were flops. Downhill Jam was except nothing could have possibly prepared us for what was next. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. How fucking dare they wear that name? The gall. I seriously want to travel back to 2015 and stop this project from existing. The pain it inflicted. Because this turd in a box was a colossal failure of proportions so epic, so grand, the likes that this industry has barely seen in terms of how tremendous the quality drop was for that hugely respected brand. I'm just thankful it didn't permanently kill it. Still hurts me that SSX is dead. Fuck. But yeah, this is Hot Button. I'm a despondent Randall Beatrice here with Austin Blakesley.
Hello.
And Sean Chambers.
Oh, yeah.
Let's relive a bit of trauma and break my heart. Luckily, there's a happy ending, though.
So you were just reading all those titles off in chronological order?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's like, what was that, 13 games?
Mainline? Well, let me shoot through this.
I just think it's so funny how, like, you got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then...
Don't forget 2X. No, that was its own thing.
Like, so many offshoots.
Yeah. Underground 1 and 2, American Wasteland.
And the audacity of this team.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm sure it was just like a marketing thing. Like, oh, why didn't these idiots ever make 5?
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah.
Because Project 8 was the 8th one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, that makes sense, but...
They knew exactly what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we are recording this a mere weeks prior of the launch of the 3+4 remake.
About a month.
Yeah, about a month. It's July. Yeah, mega hype for that.
Like a month and a half.
Obviously, the anticipation for it was what inspired this.
The beginning of July 11th or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Before we start, I do wish to state up front that outside of that quick summary, the sole focus of this episode will be on the production, response, and eventual death of 5.
It's funny that the first Tony Hawk episode you're doing is about Tony Hawk 5.
I know.
The ones you like.
Well, I could prattle on forever on the property as a whole.
If we do
Don't tempt me.
If we do episodes about any other Tony Hawk games, it'll be like Tetris, where it's 5 parts and like 12 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need to explain to people why good games are good.
We have to explain why bad games are bad.
We have to peel back the Iron Curtain.
Today is reserved for the worst of the worst. Besides, there are plenty of materials, including entire documentaries that cover the positive stuff. Its humble beginnings and rise to fame. There's tons of interviews with the Birdman himself, like on his perspective.
Do you think that Tony Hawk 5 is worse than Shred and Ride?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I.
Because I never played Shred or Ride. You did.
Oh, we should bust that out afterwards.
Yeah.
Still got it.
Do you have the skateboard? Can I do a kickflip?
I do. Yeah.
Was that Project 8?
No, that was Ride.
Oh, Ride. That's right. Yeah. Makes sense.
We'll get into those a little too. And yeah, the Birdman, the Tony Hawk himself, like wonderful person. I briefly met him as a kid at the X Games in Philly. It was great. If anybody ever follows his online social media accounts, he has the ongoing bit on Twitter where people keep
do a kickflip,
recognizing they're like, you look like that guy.
Yeah, he did do a kickflip for a little bit too. He give just hand kids skateboards out of his car, but
he's the man.
I watched
seems like a loving dad.
Yeah, I've watched like 1 or 2 podcasts with him, and it's crazy how innocent. He's like very few people in the world get that famous and stay like like a
clean.
nice person.
Yeah.
And he is genuinely that person.
He's doing guest spots on Jackass and Rocket Power.
Yeah.
Strangely, there isn't a lot of discourse surrounding this thing, though. Like, it's like, can you believe it? And trust me, I am going to dive deep into why it sucks. The suckiest suck that ever sucked.
Yeah.
Guys ready?
Yes.
Watch me, Ollie. So, how did this happen? Who was responsible?
Oh, I know.
I want names.
Well, let's say who was at the helm, rather, in the driver's seat. Because we all know management and parent company executives are never innocent. It's easy to play the blame game. The creatives in the trenches rarely have any agency in budget, timeline constraints, and occasionally even the hiring process. To keep it simple at the moment, though, what's written on the tin is Robomoto. They were the formal developers of not just Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, but everything Hawk-related from 2009 to their eventual demise in 2016, 5 being their final product. Frankly, their doors weren't open for long. So they were formed in January of 2008. This of ex-employees from a branch at EA that was closed in 2007, as well as staff from previous Topic Midway. That, of course, means they were based out of Chicago. I'm going to also theorize that those that left the latter probably eyeing the writing on the wall, because considering they were fully gone by 2010 as we went into.
Man, what a time where devs had the choice to leave and go do other things.
I'm going to start my own publisher.
That is a yesterday memory.
The crew initially consisted of Joshua Y. Tsui, Tsui.
Yeah.
And Dave Makikich, designers of Mortal Kombat 4 and founders of Studio Gigante.
It'll never not be funny.
Gigante.
It'll never not be funny to listen to you stumble through people's names.
Founders of Studio Gigante. Gigante with John Tobias.
Means gigantic in Spanish.
Okay. Well, Spanish gigantic.
It's Tobias.
Lasted.
Just keeps ruining them. I don't know how you fumble these.
Spanish Gigantic lasted 5 years and saw 2 releases on the original Xbox.
Spanish Gigantic. Sorry, go ahead.
Tao Fang Fist of the Lotus.
Yep,
okay,
I remember that game.
And
Nailed
WWE WrestleMania 21.
Okay.
Tao Fang was the original Xbox game where you could break people's limbs and then they couldn't use that button anymore.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
That was that game? Because didn't they bring
sick.
that back in The Deadliest Warrior?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there was a character in that because it would be like a ninja versus samurai and there was a pirate, but the pirate had a gun. So you could just like Indiana Jones your way through a match. It's a great idea. But both got middling reviews and sold poor to average. I don't know if Fist of the Lotus really
I have it.
Flying. Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I never played it.
Yeah.
We'll have to take a look at that. Also on the team were Nick Ehrlich and Peter Sauerbrey, who are now at Epic making Fortnite money. So, props to him, I guess. And Richard Ho, our director. His credits are interesting. Apparently, he was a lead on the MK4 knockoff for the Atari Jaguar Fight for Life. It was, to put it bluntly, a pitiful answer to Sega's Virtua Fighter. Anyone recall that?
No.
Virtua Fighter or Fight for
Fight
Life?
for Life.
Yeah, Virtua Fighter's tight as hell.
No, Virtua Fighter's awesome.
Yeah, I
and it's
recall Virtua
coming
Fighter.
back?
Yeah, Revo.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Yakuza people are making
That's
it.
right.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
It's in good hands then.
I hate to be mean here already, but none of this is surmounting to be the pedigree required for such a venture, let alone who should be given the keys to a beloved franchise. What's especially bizarre is that despite the multi-billion-dollar Activision fronting the bill, they were merely contracted by them. Like, I thought they were bought, though they remained totally independent while they were in operation.
Robo or whatever?
Yeah, Robomoto. It was an odd period for the pro skater games in this era, too. Upon the less than stellar sales of Proving Ground and the ballooning profits from Call of Duty and the aforementioned Guitar Hero, the publisher was pretty distracted elsewhere. Remember, like, Call of Duty, after Modern Warfare 1 or 4, it just suddenly mattered more than, like...
everything.
Yeah. Thus, they decided to toss the gig to a couple of cheap newbies who are hot to trot, and in an effort to combat fatigue and cash in on the plastic peripheral craze, tasked Robomoto to toy around with the concept. This and formulate a plan to market to a younger demographic. Shave off that bloody and swear-laced T for teen for a modest, acceptable E10+. In all fairness, it is sort of cool they got to experiment. Problem was the result of this endeavor was Tony Hawk Ride. A disappointing and downright broken experience that used their patented skateboard controller that you stood on. It's got technology. This was a $120 price tag.
There's a computer in my skateboard.
What is important to note is that they were only given a year and a half to figure out how to make this tech work. Even more baffling was that the events where it was showcased, E3 for example, the preview builds appeared to function fine. For whatever reason, it wasn't until its final version that the sensors refused to cooperate. And I can vouch for this. I tried a demo at a Best Buy the summer before it released and thought it was sort of neat. Then I got it for Christmas that winter and it was straight busted. No clue what went wrong. There's even records of journalists like Jeff Gerstmann echoing this sentiment. So I guess a lot can happen in a few months. So it's like...
Indeed can, as we will come to learn later.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, not to cut you off.
No.
What you talk about later, I'm sure, but I was looking up, the reason I know the date for the 3 and 4 remake is because I was looking it up to see when it came out, because
is it an anniversary?
It's going to be awesome. No, it's July 11th.
Yeah.
But that brought up the special edition, which
the one that comes with an actual deck, right?
It comes with a deck.
Yeah.
And for a second, I got real confused because it looks exactly like the box for Tony Hawk Ride.
Yes, yeah. So I saw that recently too, and I didn't even know that thing existed.
Yeah, me either. And I saw that, I was like, they're doing it again? And I was like, oh no, it's a regular skateboard.
That doesn't come with a soundtrack, does it?
I don't know.
Wasted opportunity. So that was in 2009. 11 months after this, a spiritual successor, Tony Hawk Shred, face planted onto shelves. While it was marginally better than its counterpart, as the extra time allowed them to iron out some of the kinks, the damage was done. The inclusion of snowboarding wasn't going to save them. Reportedly, a mere 3,000 units were purchased in its first week of launch in the U.S. Woof. Noticing this, Activision came to the conclusion of putting the series on a temporary hiatus. 2011 was soon the single year where the Hawkster wouldn't grace us with his presence.
That iced their knees.
Yeah, first time since 1999, 98, 99, 90. Shit. I said it in the beginning. Just rewind.
I think you said 99.
Okay.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Robomoto would take a detour to produce an iTunes app in time and then Big League Sports for the Kinect.
1999.
Okay. All right. That was our first time. Other subject we did.
Yeah.
Oh, and also attempted to kickstart a pinball type game called Badoink as a downloadable, again, for the Kinect.
Great name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This in tandem with their family-friendly subsidiary office, RoboMite.
She got a badoink-a-doink.
I do commend their naming conventions.
Yeah.
As you spin off of Robomoto called RoboMite.
And then
they got
that.
I like In Time too.
Yeah.
I would like. Hold on, I gotta check something.
Just in time.
Also, alas, they didn't clear their $35,000 goal. No badoinks.
Damn.
Okay. I would like to say to any of you out there with imposter syndrome, which is probably a lot of you.
Sure.
This company made not one, not two,
not even three,
but 4 Tony Hawk games, the highest of which has a 65 on Metacritic.
I know.
God damn.
And in addition, had a satellite studio.
They got so many chances.
And they lasted for so long, over a decade, right?
No, it was 8 years.
8 years, yeah.
8 years, okay. That's close. But, yeah. So
it's a good run.
I just
to think they made 3 of the worst. The HD remake probably sold well, but 3 of the worst reviewed Tony Hawk games of all of them, and then they were chosen to make a Tony Hawk.
I know,
5.
and you don't even need to put that qualifier. Yeah. Some of these were like some of the illustrated.
So they were
worst selling
contracted.
Yeah.
4 times in a row?
4 times in a row.
Oh, man.
And it wasn't even like, here's the Tony Hawk franchise. They contracted them individually for each game.
Yeah.
So they're just like, I believe in you this time.
Yeah.
Like,
we get it.
Like I said, I think
they probably just did it really cheaply and quickly.
I think that's what, yeah. And Activision was counting their Guitar Hero and Call of Duty money. Like, that's...
Yeah.
And, I guess whatever mobile shit.
No amount of red could...
When did they buy King?
Oh, that was way late.
That had to be way late.
I feel like 2018.
Oh, yeah, okay, maybe you're right.
I'll look it up, keep talking.
Yeah, I'm curious.
I know they had the Bond franchise. They were running that into the ground as well.
Yeah, they were.
Yes, they did.
Everybody dies forever. Just start screwing up the names.
One thing that was seeing success was the ongoing march of Microsoft's XBLA platform, particularly during its Summer of Arcade initiative. Geometry Wars Retro Evolved 2, Braid, Bionic Commando Rearmed, fucking Castle Crashers, Trials HD, Splosion Man, Shadow Complex, Limbo, Castlevania Harmony of Despair, Monday Night Combat, and Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light were smashes.
Give it to him.
Yeah.
Cannot be understated how amazing that is.
Right? God, I like...
And honestly, I feel like that set a precedent for like indie studios to just make digital-only accessible games.
Yeah.
Because before then, obviously, it was like kind of foreign, but...
What was crazy, too, is, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was like an XBLA game had to be under, like, 800 megs.
Oh, I did not know there was restrictions.
They needed achievements, but you could only... It was only like 200 as opposed to 1,000.
It was 200 instead of 1,000.
Yeah. And I think...
Oh, and you could definitely tell
Initially
what developers just did not give a shit.
Yeah, oh, totally.
There's like a Naruto game that you can get.
Yeah,
like
that's the combo. Yeah. I mean, better than the achievements. It's like I remember that basketball game. It's like be online at the same time as like this many people and be ranked number 1 in the world. You're like,
yeah,
fuck you.
Go to school with that.
Yeah,
and then get bullied again.
150 megabytes, then 350 megabytes, then 2 gigabytes, then no limit.
And all these bangers, by the way, were like, I think under $15.
Also,
some of these were even $10.
Yeah.
King was acquired in February of 2016.
Oh, okay. Shortly there after their shutter, or right before their shutter.
Yeah. I guess that's true. And so Activision reconsidered their halting of the IP and gave Moto another shot. This in the form of a high-def recreation of the OG 1 and 2, PS1/N64/Dreamcast classics. A surefire, right? They threw the plastic boards away and took it back to the basics. Levels were remade, a portion of the skaters and songs relicensed. Nothing gargantuan. This wasn't nearly on the tier of the 1+2 remaster in 2020, or remake. However, by the time it saw life in the Summer of Arcade for 2012, and on PSN, early buyers like myself then got exposed to its lack of content and wonky change in physics. Didn't even split screen. Fuck. That said, it was still a slight improvement for them. Unprecedented for the gifts from heaven we witnessed before. But still, this was, as Austin pointed out, a 66 on Metacritic. This as opposed to the mid-40s for Ride and low 50s for Shred. None of these were on the path whatsoever to rival Skate.
Incremental.
Incremental.
They're getting like 10 points every year. Maybe Activision was just betting on them after enough games getting into the 80s.
And maybe that was the only reason that Activision was bothering at all. I mean, it was because Skate was doing very well.
Right.
For
And,
EA and like,
I was a huge Tony Hawk fan.
Yeah.
And like Skate revolutionized that. Obviously, two totally different games, but I much prefer the Sim nowadays.
I love them both separately.
But I love the
for
nostalgia.
The end.
Yeah.
Skate's better. We all agree?
No.
No, I'm just kidding.
But I love Skate.
Yeah, they're two totally different games.
They're two totally different games. I love the fact that Skate didn't replace Tony Hawk.
Exactly.
It just added to the genre.
Completely different control
live.
Scheme and
they can live in the parallel.
Yeah. Because I adore the arcadiness of Tony Hawk, but it's like the last Skate game that I actually enjoyed was very Skate inspired, and that was not Session, Skater XL.
Yeah.
But because we've been in a drought.
It's only fat skateboarders.
Yeah.
Also, sidebar. I think Skate 4 is going to be terrible.
Man. It's been cooking.
It has
for a
been
very long time.
Because Black Box is long gone, and they said that this was going to be free to play.
Oh,
yeah. I think that's why it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
I don't think gameplay wise it's going to be terrible. I think
it's all the shit, the wrappings of it that we know are going to be bad.
Yeah, you play games as a service on anything, it's going to kill it.
Yeah. So that's 3 misses in a row. Sorry, I know this episode isn't about those. I was just hoping to provide context to who these folks were and how their resume was shaping. With that, though, we're going to shoot past the canceled Shred session and Robo's slew of mobile titles into the chapter of THPS5, A Blight on Society.
It's funny to think that like Tech Decks were probably doing better than like actual skateboarding games.
One major factor to highlight with this, by the way, was that it was an open secret across the internet that the exclusivity deal between Tony Hawk and Activision was set to expire January 31st, 2015. News media had already begun speculating for months about who was planning to swoop in and take the wheel next.
Okay, so hold on real quick.
Yeah, potential acquirers were just in wait.
So I think what we were talking about is true. They probably signed on for a 3-game deal. And am I understanding correctly?
I don't know. I don't know if they would just, well, they're available, have them make the next one. But
it was going to go to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
I know why Robomoto got hired. Do you not have that?
Well, I might.
Okay, continue.
And also, this handshake was extended back in 2002 and then once more in 2007 when it was earning $1 billion or so in revenue.
Yeah.
So, they went from making billions of dollars to selling 3,000 copies of this thing. Until then, the clock was ticking to squeeze what little blood was left from this stone. In fact, they didn't even have the time to find a new dev team. So the deflated ball was thrown back to the then struggling to survive Robomoto yet again, and with barely any budget, less than what was given for their past assignments. It's ridiculous. Tony Hawk HD had a higher budget than Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5.
Yeah, it was the expiring deal.
Yeah.
And they needed somebody who could get it done quickly.
Yeah.
And Robomoto probably already had the tools.
Wait, so you paid for the contract for the licensing, and then you assigned the team a budget? So they had to. They
had a licensing deal that they were renewing every year when Tony Hawk was coming out, and then they stopped renewing it, but it still lasts a couple years. So basically, they stopped renewing it when I think Proving Ground came out. Yeah, because
Proving Ground was 07.
07.
So that would have been the last. That's the last extension.
That was the last extension of the deal. 10 years, 2017.
Oh, okay.
So
it's 2015. The end of 2016 is when it would officially be done.
Okay,
right. The game came out in 2015. So the deal was renewed when Proving Ground came out, and then lasted however many years, and it's the same reason why, but they
could have gotten another team to do it.
I know, yeah.
Like they literally went back.
They could have paid to renew the contract and then given somebody more than Robomoto got with a bigger budget
and with more time.
Yeah, they could have done a lot of things.
Yeah,
but they're trying to, like Randy said, they're trying to bleed blood from a stone.
Yeah, no.
What's even sadder is how measly the fanfare was surrounding the announcement. Like, this is goddamn Pro Skater, a historic pillar of gaming history, and with a legacy still felt in the 2020s. Their own rich-ass publisher suddenly couldn't be bothered with a proper reveal. Instead, the word of a latest entry being in production was unceremoniously made to the public by Tony himself in a tweet.
Yeah.
This on November 7th, 2014. So this should have been the canary in the coal mine of Activision not giving a fuck. Mind you, they were hardly out of the prototyping stage.
I was going to say, it might just be because they wanted them to make it less than a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, which is a crazy development time.
Truly.
Insanely.
Also, let it be known here that an official name was not chosen yet. I mean, they wouldn't, in a thinly vised grasp for clout, label this as an actual numerical follow-up to the legendary line of yesteryear, would they?
I have the best title.
Therefore, igniting wildly unrealistic expectations for something that could not possibly delivered, this by a woefully underfunded and inexperienced group of programmers on an unfeasibly tight schedule.
Make it a sequel to Project 8 and just to have it be Project and then the poop emoji.
Nice. Yeah. No, I was going to say not dead yet.
Oh, yeah. Tony Hawk Resurrected. Tony Hawk Pro Skater
and then
Reloaded.
Just have him like with holy energy, like he's being crucified.
I was going to say like a marionette being held up by strings doing a kickflip.
Weekend at Bernie's Tony Hawk edition.
Be a good thumbnail.
It's just what's his name? Shit. I lost
Bam Margera.
Yeah. Any one of them. Elise Steamer, it's Tony Hawk's son and Bam Margera holding up Tony Hawk while he does a kickflip.
Well, with their
sorry, no, Lil Wayne and Tony Hawk's son.
Okay, yeah,
I forgot.
With their waning capital and limited resources, they got to it. Those that were still there anyway. Supposedly 60 people at the studio were laid off back in October of 2010 in relation to the tepid response to Shred and were never replaced. So that there was another thorn in the side of this shit. I bet testing will go swimmingly. Issues further compounded when they learned that as per the exclusive partnership, this would need to be a cross-gen title. That meant whatever they built for the PS4 and Xbox One had to be ported down to the 360 and PlayStation 3. 4 separate SKUs, although the Wii U, Vita, and surprisingly the PC were not necessary. Weird, since HD did later get an upload to Steam. Of course, it's delisted on every storefront now. But okay, so big hurdle with those additions for the older hardware. Neither system was compatible with Unreal 4. Which I didn't know that before this.
Yeah.
The engine they had already begun using into the alpha phase. So it looks like it was back to Unreal 3 for them. Great piece of tech. However, direct support was tougher to be provided now. Thankfully, they kept the code and asset bank from HD as a jumping off point. While nobody on the inside has ever spoken publicly in regards to the working conditions, it's safe to presume it probably wasn't the best. We also can't truly determine where exactly the pressure came from to shift its scope into an always online product. However, I can certainly propose a hypothesis. It isn't confirmed, but remember, as we discussed, like Activision has a ton of stake in their microtransaction infused mobile departments, especially now with King. So it, wouldn't be unusual if that choice of unfriendly consumer business practices was due to the wants of the higher ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big was Farmville and Mob Wars?
I was trying to
whatever.
recalling Mafia Wars.
Yeah, there you go.
What were the big always online games of this era, like early PS4, Xbox One? Because this is predating your Fortnites and
yeah, right.
Destiny 1 was 2020 or 2014.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, there was a whole bunch of stuff. There was a lot of single player stuff that had always online.
That and friend of the show Andrew, we were talking to. Remember not that long ago about when the second screen experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say Watch Dogs was around here.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought I automatically assumed always online with live service. That's my bad.
Yeah.
Because
That's because that's the funny thing. This was not a live service.
No, the comment I made was
there's
about
no battle pass.
Right.
It's just kind of like
when you say mobile games, I just think cha-ching.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
All right, so some always online games.
Yeah.
Diablo 3 was 2012.
Right. Okay.
SimCity, which is a previous topic,
gosh,
was 2013.
Oh, never forget.
Apparently in 20...
CS:GO. That's less important on consoles.
Apparently, Ubisoft started doing this in around 2012. Assassin's Creed.
Wait, Assassin's Creed?
Or no, Driver San Francisco, The Crew, The Division, For Honor.
The Crew.
The Need for Speed reboot with the live action.
Racing games were all over this shit.
Yeah.
Drive Club was, I think, around this time.
Yep. Also,
Yeah.
Gran Turismo 7 had always online. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. The Modern Warfare reboots.
That's going a little more modern.
Uh,
Wait, Tony Hawk 1+2? You can play that offline.
No. Remember, Andrew talked to us about this. You couldn't at first, and then when it came to Steam, they had to make it always
That's right.
offline
I
so you
forgot
could
that was
play it
in
on
Epic.
Steam Deck. Yeah.
Wait, because the Epic Store, the Epic Store launched. Right, it launched with Hades. Is that like 2018?
Something like that.
Has the Epic Store been around that long? No, 2020. 5 years.
No, it was before 2020.
It was before. Well, they had their own launcher. I didn't know that they had their own storefront. Whatever. But these higher ups, not that they were interested to any degree in making folks aware. There were no appearances at conventions or on console holder live streams. No advertising by contracts with influencers. No commercial shot for TV. Come launch day, no review codes for outlets, which, that doesn't instill confidence. But now, as a publisher, a AAA publisher, isn't that a significant, fucking role for your entire job?
That just says they had no faith, and they're
What were they even doing?
I feel like
I remember watching Twitch streams of this at midnight that night to see.
This was a full-priced game.
Yep.
Also, let me say, essentially all they did was pass it through CERT and help rate it. I guess they paid for the track list of music, the only positive trait to consistently come out unscathed of their Hawk-branded projects.
Was this not E?
No, this was T.
So
Yeah.
were the other ones Z?
Yeah, the ride and tread were,
I was
because
gonna
they wanted the board to be, because I think the board also might have had a weight limit. Like I don't know what that would be, but that was more aimed at like kids and teens.
I was gonna say, because right there it's like Kids Bop is the soundtrack at that point. I don't know how you make a Tony Hawk game and
It's
make
all
it
the
E.
big. It's like Delta Funky Homo Sapien, but it's kids.
Yeah.
Just a fleet of children singing Amoeba.
Mm-hmm.
And also like Activision, they were the ones that ruined the good reputation of Pro Skater to begin with. This from oversaturation and swapping talent around. Same with Guitar Hero. Like it's like within a span of years. This isn't even in my script. Like it went from like a new Tony Hawk is coming out, like a new Guitar Hero is coming out. This is a big deal. It's another one of these.
It reminds me of like the Nintendo meme for like the 3DS. It prints money.
Yeah.
But it feels like Activision's take on this was like, how fast can we make it print money?
Yeah.
Because they might be
exploded,
already.
So.
I'm venturing to guess that yearly installment games weren't as deep in.
It doesn't that feel so quaint now? Like it's like
I feel
there's only
like
like 3 series.
I'm also guessing because it might even be longer than I thought. I think maybe Madden was like
that was back when Madden was actually getting good reviews,
right?
Like,
but I mean, I feel like this whole push it out because I know it wasn't 4 games in 4 years, but it feels like with that dev time and then also like. Jumping to a new console, not being able to use a newer engine. Like, it feels like, it just feels like everything was against them.
It really was.
I put none of the onus on the devs. I definitely think like, you get a contract, you have to fulfill.
It's not there. This was like impossible. Like everything that was getting asked of them. And meanwhile, the Birdman himself, he was giving his damnedest too to spread the news on its production. He personally attended CES that January in 2015 to speak at Sony's keynote, stating development was, quote, much further along than anticipated, and that it would arrive this year. Of course, they were kind of forced to nail that.
Right.
Otherwise, there were some false reports that it was exclusive to the PS4. That'll happen. This was disputed, but no real footage was shown. No screenshots either.
Was this when they were paying for exclusivity? Like, was this around that started too?
I was thinking about that fairly recently, where as well.
Not that it was relevant because obviously
no. I mean, right, but I mean, it's like I remember it was a big deal when Sony they remembered Street Fighter V. Like Street Fighter 4 was big on 360 and it was not on Xbox, and then Sony was pissed about. Because it used to be Xbox got the Call of Duty exclusive stuff first, then it was Sony.
Yeah.
They would fight over that. They'd kind of tug back and forth. And then it was Microsoft was the one that stepped in when Rise of the Tomb Raider initially couldn't find, like they assisted in helping pay for some of that, but then they kept that exclusive to the Xbox for like a year.
Was that Shadow that was exclusive? Or was it Rise?
It was Rise.
No. Was the
the second one. Best one. And then that was around this time, because like on the 360 and PS3, it's like Final Fantasy was on both and GTA was on both. Like it's like, but now it's like Final Fantasy has been pretty buddy with Sony.
Yeah,
but paid exclusives definitely started or became most prominent in the PS4.
Yeah.
Xbox One.
Especially, I can understand why, especially with the kind of the roles.
It's interesting that you point that out, because I was like, oh no, what? This was like that time where somebody, like, you would just assume that.
Yeah, right.
It's like, this is at Sony's keynote. Well, clearly it's not going to be on.
Right.
Yeah. Couple months pass. Things are relatively quiet. That was till then. On April 9th, a hilarious leak has occurred. I'm curious if you both recall this. A young chef by the name of Joe Yucan, who was hired to cater a behind-closed-doors company presentation for investors, excitedly shared a photo on his Facebook and Instagram of a smiling mug posing in front of a Tony Hawk 5 logo displayed on a large screen next to him. And, this wasn't revealed yet. The images were promptly deleted, I'm sure, after he got a stern talking to. Poor guy. But the cat was out of the bag, and this was implying a lot. Like, could this really be a sequel to Pro Skater 4 from 2002? It'd be a bold move. This was the first traditional entry since 2007 already. To quell the theories that they invited, Representatives from Activision the following morning claimed that it was only a temporary workshop title.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Creativity's hard, man.
Whatever. Regardless, we knew what was, it was brewing, and the fans and the press were clamoring for some solid info. So around June, Mr. Hawk was finally taking more interviews with GameSpot and Game Informer on its status. He affirmed here that the series would be returning to its roots. Translation, no controller add-ons, no story campaign, no getting off the board, no gimmicks, no bullshit. Although, I liked getting off the board.
Yeah.
I liked the story stuff, yeah.
Yeah, for how cheesy it was, the story stuff. I forget the one you had to jump over a helicopter between two hotels. I forget.
Oh, that was probably Underground too.
That might have been Underground too, yeah. That was the team, Tony Hawk versus team.
That was that. I liked that.
The first one and the first one and American Skateland were very rags to riches like stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them. They had style, and so the thing was he ensured its dedication to authenticity by telling us that Robomoto was actively consulting with ex-Neversoft members in order to make it feel genuine to the originals. I don't fault him for any of this. Undoubtedly, he was just hoping to deliver a quality product, obeying the instructions delegated to him, and was likely unaware of the terror that was bubbling miles away at those offices in Chicago.
He definitely strikes me as the type of guy that's like, you're in the doctor building.
Yeah, get out of this.
And so unless
I know, I'm just
a lawyer.
That's
he gives
there's a single bicycle guy on this.
Yeah, there's no skateboarder guys around me. Yeah, sure.
This also goes for the other professional skaters, counting his own son, Riley, that were elated to be featured on the roster of a Tony Hawk game. It honestly was a dream for the newcomers to the scene, and you could hear the excitedness and sincerity in their voices in the meet and greet video segments that got filmed.
That's so rough.
Yeah.
The first game the kid's in is buried.
It sucks. Chris Cole, David Gonzalez, Nia Houston, and long-stay Andrew Reynolds were back. Naya.
He's a fucking superstar now. You better put
really
his name.
Shit.
That's crazy. I was wondering when you were saying this. I was like, "There's no way." Naya was like, this was his game."
Damn.
Oh, that's so crazy.
We're back with Aaron Homo Kim, Lizzie Armanto, Letitia Bufani, and Ishad Ware.
Ishad Ware again
set to make their debut.
Well. Oh wait, they were the newbies.
They were the new.
God, Ishad Ware is another one.
Yeah.
Damn, they got shoes. Ishad Ware's shoes came out like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I got a pair.
No shit.
Yeah.
Okay. This was I wasn't following pro skating as much in this during this time, so I fell off a bit. But
yeah,
it was.
But that's definitely those two names.
Wait,
so this wasn't Nija's then? It was Ishad's though, which is crazy.
Yeah. Houston was he was I think he might have been in Rider Shred.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
he was an all-star. He was like the next. Well, I mean, not the next, but like he became like a household name for skateboarding.
It's interesting because from the other than Tony himself, from that OG crew, it's Andrew Reynolds that I know.
Dude, I remember Eric Costin.
Yeah, I remember Eric Costin. Chad Muska. I mean, here's the thing that really upsets me because there's 10 total.
Yeah.
And it was a talented and diverse group, albeit much smaller of a selection than previously offered. Several of the main alumni were nowhere to be seen. Yeah. This included my boy, Rodney Mullen.
There you go.
Where the fuck?
The OG.
I love him.
The man who created the kickflip.
Yeah, I knew some of these folks have been retired for a while, like Alyssa Steamer and
I would never get tired of watching those demo reels.
Oh my gosh,
it is so crazy. I am
it's hypnotic.
It's so great because on Instagram I follow a bunch of pro skateboarders, so from time to time I'll get just those
little
lines,
and
it's
quick
so crazy. I love that it's so instant access like that too. But I'll never forget Fisheye Lens.
Yeah,
filming a line.
But again, signing deals for likenesses can be a lengthy and expensive process, and they couldn't spare an extra dime on getting this thing out the door. So it's like,
I got 34 cents and some lint.
yeah. How much? Just reach in your pockets and just dump a bunch.
We just ate a dev collectively. The whole team had to draw straws, And like our lead guy, we had to eat him to stay alive.
Hey, this was after Call of Duty Ghosts and Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
Or, well, no, not after Infinite Warfare.
Same
that
year.
was 2016.
I thought it
So
was 2015.
no, Black Ops 3 was 2015.
Right.
So they had to go back into the well and dig up some old shit. Because you know what else was 2015? Guitar Hero Live.
True.
Yeah.
Right. Man. I'm going to cover those this one day. That along with you know what else. This also the same year.
Yep.
Coincidentally. Also, you reminded me of the drop in the change thing, being like, here's the bunch of there's a red letter joke where they're discussing like Blumhouse and like they have like movies like every week.
Yeah.
And there's larger like, you know, like bigger projects to do, but sometimes there's ones that just like randomly appear on like streaming.
Yeah.
He just like reaches in a pocket, grabs a bunch of quarters, and he's like, here's the new Blumhouse movie. just like throws a bunch of coins. But the devs continue to truck along. It said the top priority was for this to run at a brisk 60 frames per second without sacrificing its targeted 1080p resolution. Whoops. And this will be the narrative when the initial like trailer dropped soon after. The next month on July 13th, any modicum of enthusiasm quickly drained the second we were shown what was actually cooking. This was a terrible first impression. At only over a minute, what we got was a slow, ugly, and boring clip package of low-texture characters doing basic moves in bland, blurry environments with stiff animations. It lacked any of the identity we've come to expect from decades of awesome releases under the name. And this was where that 5 title was corroborated. Enthusiasts were almost immediately suspicious of its promises. The minimal budget was evident. That doesn't mean squat when you close your shit with a September 29th pre-order screen. This gameplay appeared hollow and lifeless, as if it was a mobile cash grab. Pop, shove it.
To the old shit. This feels like a cash grab. Go back to the old shit.
E3 then comes and goes with a presence as unremarkable as you'd assume. There wasn't a demo in sight at their booth, and even Activision distanced themselves by hiring a separate PR department to handle questions about it from like the smattering of publications that did get a glance at, of it at meetings for preview write-ups. But yeah, it's like as a publisher,
I'm telling you,
isn't PR like?
No, this is like the family that has like a serial killer son, and they just don't want to be associated. Like they're trying. It feels like they're trying everything.
Someone's on the pedophile list.
Yeah,
like it's like what?
That's not my son. No, you're literally. It is though.
That's so weird. Sorry, are you the PR department for Activision? Yeah, I'd like to ask you about Tony Hawk 5. Well, we have a different PR department. What? Why?
It's a guy with like one of those pinwheel hats. And like a
holding a lolly.
A life vest, yeah.
It's a crazy guy who's just like
smeared, covered in shit.
Yeah,
can't get close enough to do an interview. Yeah. He's coming back. Who? Jesus? No, Tony.
With the launch date and contract expiration imminent, they didn't need to pull off some serious convincing that this wasn't a doomed product about to implode in on itself. A delay wasn't possible. Cancellation wasn't possible. This was a scrambling. And so they were just getting buried in ridicule left and right, so much that it led to when Robomoto hatched the brilliant idea to abandon the series' more realistic art style to instead a brighter, cartoony one. A complete graphical overhaul. This presented in a re-reveal trailer on August 5th. When was it?
When was Borderlands 1?
So I actually referenced that in here.
Okay. Because I saw screenshots of the game because I never played it, but damn.
Borderlands was funny too because there was another game called Fuse that did the opposite.
Yeah.
That was like, and then went more gritty, realistic.
When you say Fuse, I think Haze, but I know it's not.
No, it was not called Fuse at first.
You might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always get that confused with like Brink, but that wasn't.
No.
So in short, this was a light conversion to cell shading via filter effects on top of a minor enhancement in color palette. they cranked the saturation knob.
Yeah.
It was a desperate attempt to inject a bit of personality into their dying racehorse, and with only 2 months to spare, I absolutely understand why they did it, but it didn't invoke the vibe of when Neversoft and Vicarious adapted the comic book aesthetic to American Skateland in 2005.
Right.
That was designed around it and was dope, and it was on the freaking Nintendo DS of all places.
It was called Overstrike before.
Overstrike.
It was Insomniac too.
That was Insomniac.
Never made a bad game.
They have an odd.
I mean, Fuse isn't a bad game.
it's
just
not bad.
great.
It's but compared to like what else?
Ratchet
usually,
and Clank and
Activision and Robo CEO Josh Tuzzi claimed this wasn't in spite of the negative feedback, rather the commitment to performance during quote seamless 20-player multiplayer. More on that later. Don't know who you're fooling there, but yeah, Borderlands did this, and granted that was done well, like the change in art. But Josh also dismissed the notion that it was cell shaded. He states that it was the tweaks in lighting, motion blur, depth of field, and thicker outlines that caused it to stick out more. Sure looks like cell shading to me.
Yeah, I honestly,
Like, but to each their own.
this is not a bad idea.
It's not, but just like
what
2
is
months
cell shading other than a change in lighting and thicker outlines?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just broke it down.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it reminded me of? It's more of a light cell shade. Like, it doesn't, it's not like No More Heroes or Killer 7 or like,
yeah.
13. It's like Crackdown.
A vignette.
Like, Crackdown is like
a
cell shading.
vignette.
Vignettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vinaigrette. No,
It's like
it's really interesting.
no, yeah, it's like Borderlands has like
Borderlands is more
comic book arty.
Yes,
That's cell
yeah.
shading where you like draw the shadows in
Yes.
lines
Yeah.
and you do the hatching
and
and,
it's
stuff.
uneven.
Borderlands is very
Yeah,
committed.
That's cell shading.
Yeah.
This is just a cell shading filter,
filter,
kind of. Yeah.
Oh, interesting point. When you said Fuse, I looked it up or whatever, Overstrike,
Yeah.
and I was like, this looks like
he's sleeping.
this. The art style reminded me of Binary Domain.
Mm-hmm.
I like
But-
that game.
Right. So and then I was like, well, it couldn't have gone wrong like that bad, but
Yeah.
it looks way worse.
Yeah.
And that, like, according to him, the creative decisions have been evolving for a while, and this pivot would boost optimization.
I mean,
I mean,
sure.
theoretically,
Yeah.
I'm like, right.
when you flatly shade everything, it should technically the lighting should ease up. And
Yeah.
you should get more frames out
Becomes
of it.
less dynamic. Yeah.
So we're at the 11th hour. Additional aid was brought in by Disruptive Games Inc. or Stubborn Gorilla Studios pre-2014. They were an indie support team, still around as of this writing.
It's a medic team.
Yeah. yeah, just do the thing from Pulp Fiction. They're gonna like. Yeah.
You said Disruptive Gorilla?
Disruptive Games. They were Stubborn Gorilla beforehand. So they're credited in providing their expertise in finishing touches and polish to not just Tony Hawk HD, so they already had a connection with them, but Lost Planet 3 as well.
Mm.
And in case you think they're incompetent at what they do, their future track record comes with all kinds of ups and downs.
Oh, hell yeah.
Bloodstained Ritual of the Night,
Oh, yeah.
Godfall,
Which,
and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2. So, hey, you can't say they didn't redeem themselves there.
and I'll be
I mean,
honest,
they're fixers.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't polish a turd.
Yeah.
Or sorry, you polish a turd, it's still a turd.
yeah.
So
I'm John Statham.
Yeah.
I'm showing up here, and I'm going to transport your game from shit.
John Statham.
John Statham. I'm Jason Statham, and I'm here to fix it.
No,
and
it's
then transport
John
it.
Statham, Jason Statham's brother.
Yeah,
He has hair.
This non-union Mexican equivalent.
and he's always, no, I'm John, his brother. What do you want?
He's got a Brooklyn accent.
Pop quiz. What's the difference between Godfall and Greedfall? Because I always conflate the two in my head.
Godfall is a character action game that was once a live service game that they quickly pivoted to not be a live service game.
All right.
And it was all like mythology themed
And like
and a lot of
sounds
gaudy
familiar.
gold.
yeah, high fantasy,
High
like
fantasy
armor,
with swords.
Greedfall.
Greedfall is an RPG,
medieval era.
which is it's like New America era.
Oh, okay.
Like kind of like
Oh.
pirates, and
Okay.
it's kind of like an Oblivion, or like a Elder Scrolls Light kind of game, like one of those RPGs.
More towards realism, though.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Not that they're fully off the hook because multiplayer was their contribution here. We'll get to it, but holy shit, did that not work as intended. Elsewhere, Romanian developer Fun Labs was saddled with the 360 and PS3 ports. Don't know what straw they drew.
I've heard are better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's
it's only math.
It's actually
right?
we'll get into the differences, but it's very funny. It's almost like, remember with Daikatana,
Yeah.
where it was like the N64 version ended up being better by virtue of limitations.
Yeah.
So they mostly had a long-standing relationship to the giant publisher through their Cabela's hunting line.
Oh yeah.
Although they'd occasionally lend their skills on non-bangers like SeaWorld Deep Sea Adventures.
Oh, and Secret Service 2001 game, In Harm's Way.
What?
Budget first-person tactical shooter. That's so great.
The History Channel, Battle for the Pacific, Men in Black Alien Crisis, the Duck Dynasty game, Unturned, Nerf Legends, and Angry Birds Trilogy. Which, man, what does it say when that's your outlier of a win, I guess?
Dude, I opened this and I was like, holy shit.
What a fucking weird...
That Secret Service In Harm's Way definitely stood out.
What is that?
It literally, it looks
Is it
like
a
that,
light gun shooter?
it looks like that JFK assassination game.
Wait, JFK Reloaded?
But it's not. But it's awful. It looks like Half-Life. It's like built on the Valve engine.
Source.
Source
I
engine.
gotta take a look at that. I also didn't realize that there was a Men in Black game on the 360. I remember there being a GameCube and like PS2 one.
Yeah.
But that would have been pretty...
I think you'd actually love this game, Randy.
Yeah, I might.
You know what game Robomoto worked on that you didn't mention?
What's that?
The In Time game. You remember that Justin
Oh,
Timberlake
no, I
movie?
mentioned that, but it was only a sentence. I didn't know what it was. I just said it was an app. It was like an iTunes like music.
Is that
Oh,
Justin
yeah,
Timberlake?
you did mention it. Yeah, that's based on the movie.
Justin.
Wait, it is.
Yeah.
I thought the one where it's like counting down.
Yeah, the one where everybody pays for everything with time.
That was a perfectly cromulent film.
Yes.
I thought you counting down. I thought it was like Majora's Mask style.
I just thought the name was so generic. I was like, "There's no way that's affiliated with the movie." I don't know.
It is. I looked it up. It
How
both
did the-
came out in 2011.
How'd the game work?
I don't know. Maybe you pay with microtransactions with your life. And then if you run out of money in game, they just come kill you.
Or you have to like smoke a cigarette in front of them.
Yeah.
Or like there's a camera and
What happened to Justin Timberlake after his tour got ruined?
he turned his back on Britney.
Mm.
And she's Britney, bitch. So no, I don't know. That's me very like passively keeping my ear on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. He looks like
I remember the DUI. That was like the last.
Probably went to drug rehab.
He's not in movies much anymore, though.
no. He's
Well,
just
he's doing
shaking his
music
Big in social
Yeah,
media.
he's in Trolls.
he's shaking his junk in front of like 45-year-old ladies now.
Great.
Basically a higher stripper.
Yeah, 45-year-old ladies and children
Yes.
because he's in Trolls.
What a group.
Nice.
So
what a con.
they
am I
got
right?
they got bought in 2023 by Maximum Entertainment. All right, then I have no doubt that they did what they could.
Who is this?
This was the
Fun Labs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we went off on a tangent. I got lost.
No, you're fine. It was the thing, like this was like plopped on their desk, and it was like, here, fix this. And those versions also weren't listed to come out in late September alongside its next gen big brother. Even when inquired, Activision was coy about it in statements, not specifying to those on aging hardware, when they could get theirs. And this only gave them ample time to dodge the bullet as we are at launch, September 29th. Now, there were mom and pop shops that violated street date. I missed that practice.
Yes.
So people were already streaming this on Twitch, as Austin, right up. But for the bulk of us, it was available. Perhaps the sleepiest release for a $60 video game of this caliber ever. It snuck its way onto retail shelves like a damn church mouse. No press party, no special editions, no collabs with magazines or websites, no digital preloading. No copies were sent to reviewers, as I iterated. Just social posts and a lonely 1 minute YouTube trailer was edited to commemorate the morning. And this thing was a ghost, as if it was made to fulfill an obligation. I have a vivid memory of taking a trip to Walmart at midnight and having to pester an employee to open the boxes, from that evening's shipment so I could buy mine. And God, can we please make Walmart 24/7 again?
Yeah.
Are they not?
No,
No.
not since COVID.
All of them?
Mhm.
Some of them are.
Well, none of the ones local to us, and
yeah.
we're around some of the biggest Walmarts in the state, so I don't know.
Nice
Makes me
skis.
sad. But I needed to know for myself. The trust wasn't there, but the morbid fascination was. Couldn't resist that.
I did not buy it.
You did not, but you did come over.
I did come over and watch him play it, and then when he his spirit was fully broken. I borrowed it.
Yes, I passed it on to you. Then you threw it back at me and I sold it.
Yeah.
I've beaten essentially every other entry. This was still Tony Hawk at the end of the day.
I know,
So
I
it
remember.
says so right on the case.
I remember you not beating it, and I was like, wow. And then I was like, I'll beat it.
Yeah.
And then I got, like, the later levels are so much worse than
They
the
are.
first
It
couple.
actually progressively just gets, just
worse and worse.
Upon our return home, me and you and the rest of the early adapters at the forefront of the shitstorm noticed something amiss. This game wasn't done. It's unfinished. A realization made glaringly clear when you see that only 4.6 gigs of files were on the physical disk. Where was the remainder? Behold, the day one patch. A download of 7.7 gigs to be exact, larger than the final build being installed. Now, common misconception, this to Matt McMuscles and whoever else, at first glance, it does indeed give the implication that without this, you can purely access the opening tutorial and part creator. That's it. While a hefty chunk of its contents are locked away. This isn't fully, truly the case. Although the result is similar. To reach the menus, levels, and modes beyond this, you must input a certain button press at the correct moment. The problem is that it just sends you to a signing online screen that then fails since you don't have the update.
Oh.
But it's like the game is there, you just can't get to it.
Yeah.
So sweet. Anywho, once you endure that, you're in. That's how you bypass it. Chucking you directly into a populated lobby with other users, whether you wanted to or not. Backing out if you are able to. You scroll through the lackluster selection of features and awful interface. I was personally annoyed at how few audio options there were. You couldn't customize or even fucking look at the soundtrack.
Yeah.
How hard of that would have been the program.
I gotta say, there's accessibility is not bad. The more accessibility, the better.
Yeah.
But when big, not even big games. When a game has virtually none,
yeah. I hate it.
am beside myself with confusion because
you have to think about
I always get furious when you can't adjust options until after you get through whatever. They'll store them server side or whatever, or you have to play through the tutorial before you could even turn on subtitles or input your control controls or whatever.
Whenever you see a really bare
ears getting
bones
blasted
option screen, it's always a factor of time.
Yeah,
where it's not hard to implement.
I mean, that's
different
easy.
audio levels. It's not if you plan for it. Right. But if you're making a game if you're making a game in 10 months,
they're lucky they got to start.
You miss something, or it's like death by 1,000 cuts. It's just all these little features we take for granted are things that aren't hard but take time.
Yeah.
And when you have limited time, it's is it better to get the game functional and done, or is it better to have the ability to turn down the music or turn down the other
in this
sounds?
Case, it's not a priority either way. You're still running out of time.
And honestly, they should have given the soundtrack more attention because it's by far the sole standout of the entire package. Get ready for my only compliment on this episode because the track list for the music was slick. An inspired mix of modern punk, emo, hip hop, rock, and alternative. Even if it was scaled back than the amount we usually get. But and no ska, I'm afraid. But you had Bully, Cloud Nothings, Cold Cave, Death from Above 1979, Rat-a-Tat, Royal Blood, the Orwells, and they all should have been in something better. Well, except for the Orwells, fuck them. But
yeah,
Death from Above. That's been a while.
Yeah. Continuing on. Sorry, that's always the first aspect I checked. You discover how demonstrously reduced everything here is.
Yeah.
For starters, no local multiplayer of any sort. A mainstay since the original. Even the online multiplayer got rid of the most admired modes like graffiti and horse. Then the create a skater was stripped down significantly. This to the point that you could only modify an existing skater through adjusting their appearance, which then erases them. Do you remember this also? They didn't have the skaters that you make didn't have a slot.
Yeah.
It was so dumb and confusing.
Yeah, you had to customize the skaters that were already there.
Yes, and you could swap their head, torso, or legs, but then their stats are applied to whatever person you chose to alter, and then you're assigned that particular trick set.
What the hell?
Yeah,
that's so weird.
And then rapper Lil Wayne and the King from King's Quest are on the roster as our guest skaters, despite the former not having a song on the soundtrack. King.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I saw Lil Wayne's in this. They didn't have the budget. I was wondering if he'd do them a favor, like him and Tony, But
and he wasn't voiced either. Normally in the past when they had guest skaters, they would.
yeah.
But King Graham is his name. Being on there is kind of cute, I guess. He's no Spider-Man, Wolverine, Darth Maul, Jango Fett, Doom Guy, Wee Man, or Shrek.
I was gonna make this joke earlier, but I was gonna say, hopefully they have Homer, because this game feels like a hit and run.
Not a hit.
I like that.
No,
That's
definitely
for
not.
sure.
Making me road rage.
Simpsons bowling.
Yeah.
There were more inclusions coming.
I don't know. Just quoting the show.
We'll get to those in a bit. The Creative Park didn't fare much better, nor the 7 official levels that looked like they were constructed from the tool set in the editor. They were derivative themselves of popular stages from throughout the series, but are now empty and devoid of any interactive elements or spunk. The exception was the barracks, based off the real-world indoor arena in LA. It isn't a deal breaker or anything, but no bonuses or cheat codes either. Those flourishes really gave Tony Hawk a zesty dose of flavor. I want my bail vids, goddammit.
You can't have
Give me them wacky Easter eggs.
You can't have cheat codes when it's 20-player seamless online.
I'm sorry.
Right.
How does King's Quest tie in all this? Because that just threw me.
Activision
I guess
King's
Activision, did they?
They own Sierra.
Right,
Quest.
yeah.
I was gonna say because
What King's Quest was like
The remake.
The
remake was never popular, but
well, it was around.
Oh
you need a budget
reimagining.
Didn't they put fucking like a Call of Duty soldier in one of them before? Wouldn't it have made more sense to do that?
They
Wait,
did it.
I think Judy Nails from Guitar Hero is in one of them.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
And Shrek
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. I said that, but we haven't got to the center of this yet. The actual moment-to-moment action and gameplay. Which, fuck, dude. Where do I... Like, this is rotten to the core. So in atypical fashion for the show, I'm going to recount my thoughts first, and then we'll get into the opinions of the critics. Within seconds, you can, like, tell how off it feels and how hideous it looks. Whatever was done to fix the graphics proved fairly useless, as the frame rate is piss, like, to put it mildly. It chugs nearly every time you turn a corner. And, like,
Jeez.
not as if there's not that much to render to begin with.
Yeah.
So, like, I know, Austin, there's that, like, rooftop level. That's the one where I think a lot of people call it quits.
That one was really particularly bad.
The one with the tikis, too. It was, like, whenever, like...
That was, like, the second level.
That was,
Yeah.
But, like, the levels are small and barren and can't transform. The custom parks are worse, and there's no NPCs anywhere. Objects are flickering in and out of existence. Even the other online skaters stutter, and you can't touch them. There's no collision detection, despite a pop-up message stating you hit them. I don't understand what the social space is supposed to be.
Detects collision, just there's no physics support.
Right, okay. The bugs and the glitches are constant, especially if you fall. I hate Ragdoll already, and here's the worst example of it, like catapulting you into the sky or getting stuck in the floor, and not even in a way that's like Skate 3's level of absurdity.
That's charming.
Yeah,
there were
that is
also
charming.
a lot of online connection problems.
Yes,
It's like
indeed.
it would need to update your position to show other people where you were, and sometimes the game got confused, so the physics would get wonky where you would like skip back.
Yep.
And like you know, like the mission where you had to like hit the beach balls out of the pool.
Yes.
And they just didn't work. Like you would collide with them and they wouldn't move.
Yes. Yeah. I remember all this.
Yeah.
And nearly every new alteration to the controls was bad. It's floaty as fuck. Wall rides are automatic, and perhaps the biggest impediment to me is the slam mechanic.
I mean, everybody complained about that.
Yeah. For some fucking reason, they decided to map that to the grind button, meaning that when you're in the air trying to link moves together, you'll awkwardly snap to the ground for like a jarring landing, completely ruining your combo. So like there'd be like two like rails, and you'd be like, you go to jump from one to the other, and if you hit grind to jump in the second, you would just like hook to the it's I don't know how that like it was
It's training your timing.
It also wasn't animated at all.
It wasn't. Yeah, so the way it looked visually. It was,
I'm just soaking this in. It sounds awful.
Yeah, it gets better. How specials work is different as well. Removing any ounce of creativeness to instead a meter of predetermined stock super tricks that temporarily replaced the regular inputs. So there's no combinations. Like, remember they used to have their like Street Fighter, like instead with this.
It was like star power in Guitar Hero.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Where you just activated it and then every trick got replaced with a different trick that was like
better,
flashier and gave you more points.
It's all Christ dares.
Yeah.
The Christ dare, yeah. So you just hit a regular grab trick and then you would do like
all Christ dares.
Yeah.
That would be, and that's the type of oversight that I would love.
There was a lot of T-posing.
T-posing
happening.
That took off.
Yeah. The laughably easy goals are tedious, uninteresting, and practically identical from area to area, recycling the collecting of random items and without any notable theming. They were awful and impossible and did not work, or they were like laughably easy and boring.
Yeah. It's like collect skate and it's SKEATE right in a row. And you just start.
It's like
you joke,
collect,
but
collect combo, and then like the first three letters are just on a rail.
Yeah.
So you just grind and then you get the first three.
It was not thought through. The scoring is then simplified to that of a shitty free-to-play mobile app with its 3-star rankings. Instead of actually being numerical scores. Of course, half of these don't even matter. Certain stars do, while others don't, and they're indistinguishable by how it's telegraphed. The game doesn't even alert you when a new park is unlocked. The only way you are notified is by the ping of an achievement or trophy. That is insane.
Yeah.
I feel like... but here's where we get to the most egregious, omission of this whole mess. The most glaring sin. The restarts aren't instantaneous.
Well, you gotta get into a server.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine what an N+ or Super Meat Boy would be without that. I think
infuriating.
Yeah, I think on Giant Bomb, they call it like a Call of Duty respawn. Like, that's it's like from its inception, Tony Hawk titles always took this into consideration with barely no loading, if there was any at all. Yeah. One of the big, even later on, remember, with when they started connecting parks together, and they'd be like, no loading. And there was already hardly any to be.
Or if there was, it'd be a cutscene.
Yeah, exactly. It wouldn't be just pause, restart, run.
Yeah.
And in order to attempt said run, you must go through several phases of resets and menus. There are hold style prompts, which I've always hated, switching of server rooms, then a totally unnecessary and unwelcomed 3, 2, 1 countdown. This utterly destroys the flow to the degree of being virtually unplayable.
It's also, you may have said this already, but they're also, they're not, it's not like you can't do 2 missions at once.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to start.
It's not like those sessions where they give you 15 goals and then you can kind of do them in whatever order
everything's just there.
No, you have to specifically load into the high score thing and get a high score within the time limit.
And then load back out.
While you're just skating around, you can't just get a high score and then get...
It's shit.
I'm getting PTSD from this.
Yeah. Picking a mode, stage, or character, same with spending points or customizing, requires minutes of navigating to accomplish. It's seriously insulting how unwieldy and fumbly it is. And who cares if there's silly power-ups that are stupid and also drastically affect performance? They'll be like, this, a hoverboard. And the frame rate goes from 20 to 10.
It's like getting star power in Mario and then just...
The Wonder Seed just completely...
Yeah.
Expectations were bottom of the barrel low, and I was still impressed. I got maybe a third through the slap together campaign, if you can even call it that, before hanging up the towel and subjugating Austin to it. It just broke me.
I got to the rooftop. Where's that in the...
I think that's the 5th.
Yeah. Out of 78.
Now, did you guys get to so Austin, you played this
I
the
think
absolute
I went
travesty.
further than you.
I think you did.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to me rant. I'm sure I could keep going if I wanted, but to summarize, it's crappy in essentially every conceivable way.
All right. As a part of my thing, I'll cover something that you didn't cover.
Okay. And Sean, real quick, you didn't get to play this, right?
No. I was just thinking, I kind of zoned out while you were talking. I was like, man, I don't get the opportunity to play a lot of bed games because I have to There
was a while where you were just trying everything out. I didn't know if this fit into that.
Right. I think around this time I had the benefit of working. Either I just had gotten out of working in game stores.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah.
I mean, whatever you're doing is a better use of your time. I guarantee it.
Yeah, but now I'm thinking like, damn, this sounds almost interesting. How bad it is almost sounds interesting.
Almost, yeah.
And it makes me want to pick out like the worst reviewed game this year and play it.
Oh yeah, that's always a blast. As long as I don't have to pay too much.
But no, go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, what's
okay. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'm of the mind that the thing about the games industry is if a game fails,
yeah.
Companies will cut and run, but right before they cut and run, they'll try to get your money however they can, and they will give you Anthem for $5. They'll give you Fallout 76 for $5.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey,
so
all things being said, they have not stopped working on Fallout 76.
That's true, they haven't. They will give you Justice League or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League for free or $5.
How much? What about Skull and Bones? How much
I have no idea. I still think they're running
they will send you 2 copies of Skull and Bones for $5. That's what happened to me.
I forgot.
Real quick,
give him another one.
Real quick, I just came to my mind. Unfortunately for Bethesda, their years work like dog years.
Yeah.
So for every human year, it's like of like patches and dedication is 10 to Bethesda years.
Fallout 76 has only been out for like 8 months.
Yeah, by that metric.
Wait, was that 2015?
No, it was like 2017.
Oh, Fallout 4 was 2015. Never mind.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Okay. Gosh.
Or was 70?
I mean, look at their development cycles.
Was at least 2019.
Yeah.
It might have been 2020.
And that was a disaster launch as well.
Yeah.
And had no NPCs, just like this.
That's true. It has NPCs now.
Yeah.
Great.
No, it did. The people that bought it. Dang. But don't.
Got him.
Yeah. People should play more bad games. I'm a glutton for punishment, but it's like watching Rebel Moon. It's just a good time.
No.
Yeah.
No, it was not, sir. Not the second one was.
This is what I'll
have. I was having a blast.
We never watched the R-rated cut.
This is what I'll ask. Because as a person who does not usually consume bad media, is it as fun and funny to watch a bad movie or play a bad game as it is to watch a bad movie?
It depends.
You have to. I think
movies are shorter and they're passive, so like they don't need to function.
I think the people in this room will agree with me that it is.
I love bad games.
Some bad games can be funny.
Yeah,
I think Quiet Man is hilarious.
Sometimes you get a game that has like glimpses of fun. You can see where they were going. Right. The budget or time wasn't there, but always 100% of the time, it's interesting as all hell.
Yeah,
to just play it.
Be like, what went wrong here?
All of that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It sounds so fascinating.
Yeah, you're all right. If you care, because we all care about the development of games and this industry to a point that like we will find some value in engaging with. You
can see where the effort went. You can see where the effort was going to go, but they didn't have the time or budget. I find it fascinating to play through games like this and just dig through the pile of wreckage to try and find anything.
Which
when me and Austin went to see Megalopolis, that was like an academic course.
You just don't know what avant-garde is. It's spelled avant-garde with like 3 upside down V's.
And sometimes
Turtle Dreams.
Sometimes you get the Love Guru, a.k.a. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5.
I've always thought that about it.
And sometimes you get Megalopolis, a.k.a. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, where you're like, you guys are crazy. This doesn't work, but
you went for it.
I appreciate where you went in some of this.
I honestly, I file Anthem under the category of like totally serviceable game because it was going to be a live service game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, this is what went wrong with the Avengers.
I saw the vision, but like, it wasn't like, if I'm remembering correctly, I played it when it came out. It wasn't like a technical.
No, it was
problems.
just dumped out because they spent too much money on it, didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
But what it did well, and then it was just missing basic shit. Like,
that's also not the type of game that people want from BioWare.
Yeah, like I wanted it.
Well, I meant like they want a crafted single player story.
I was gonna say, isn't this the Mass Effect guys?
Yeah. I wanted to fly around like Iron Man, but I did want a story mode.
You were able to do that, which is the part that I walk away with that game. But
regardless,
You couldn't change your weapon until a run was over. What the fuck was that?
But regardless, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is fascinating because sometimes you just get a bad game. Sometimes you get a bad game made by a good studio like Suicide Squad or Anthem, where it's like, this is fucking BioWare and Rocksteady. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
I know Robomoto sucks. They didn't have the budget and the time. I'll give them that. But the fact that they made a fourth Tony Hawk game after the 3 piles of garbage that they already made.
Way other companies get less chances.
It's just a testament to how fucked up like the money part of this industry is.
I almost feel like it's like gun to your head, make a Tony Hawk Pro Skater game or get killed.
Yeah. But it was like like Randy said, where you're like, okay, Robomoto made it and it has all this weird pre-release shit. And it's like, even then, expectations were buried 6 feet underground, and I still tripped over that fucking bar. Like,
I'm putting all.
I was
the
in
onus,
awe, like mouth open, playing.
I'm putting all of the onus on the publisher, or the people who contracted them, which was the people who Activision.
I mean, ultimately, they made the decision to rehire the Tony Hawk Ride people. So yeah,
right. And I just think
they'll get it this time.
I swear, it's like they gave them fake email addresses to send correspondence. They gave them bad dead end phone numbers to call in and do meetings with, and then never like followed up on it.
The thing I was gonna say is the thing I don't think you played around with very much was the park editor.
No, not much.
That was a travesty.
Really?
Oh, I thought there
did not work. You would just like place pieces down and they would just delete themselves.
I can see you clipping into an edge.
Yeah, like you could like clip out of the park and put pieces everywhere and tank the frame rate.
Yeah,
because they would just try to load and then it wouldn't work.
Just like the good Lord.
Like the
downloaded
levels that I tried was just like. It was just like
SpongeBob's
somebody
butthole.
like put a hole in the floor with spikes in it, and then you just fall into it because they spawn you above it.
Oh, good to know that Mario Maker.
But every time you die, the frame rate would get worse and worse. It was just
it's like a memory leak in the game.
That's SpongeBob's butthole level.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if you want to be as gracious as humanly possible, Tony Hawk HD was not good for a Tony Hawk game.
Yeah.
Wasn't awful for, like, if it was not
they
called
just
Tony
didn't nail the feel.
Yeah. But if it was not called Tony Hawk, the feel was good enough.
It would be an indie darling on Steam that some idiots would like.
Yeah, it's a like great game if you just don't consider the name, the physics, the engine, the mechanics.
But I get what Austin's saying,
saying
though,
like
where it's
expectation versus reality. Like if you went in not expecting it to feel like Tony Hawk, it didn't feel bad. It just didn't
I always
feel as good as Tony Hawk.
get pissed when it's like a long dead like IP, a bunch of people are like, we're gonna make our own version, and then you play it and you're like, but it's worse.
But it's not their own version. It's literally with the licensing.
Right, yeah, in this case, yes.
That's so
I have
terrible.
played some Tony Hawk games that Tony Hawk clones.
A lot of people
indie Tony Hawk clones that felt worse than Tony Hawk HD.
Oh yeah,
Skateboard.
And this was Skateboard sucks.
Oh my god!
This was made better than that. This was made by the same people, and I think if they had been given a couple of years instead of like under one, it wouldn't have been good. It probably still would have been the worst rated, but it wouldn't have been awful. So I don't want to like
broken.
Yeah,
just fundamentally. From like the
but what they put out there, whether it's their fault or Activision's fault, or more likely a combination of the two, is atrocious.
And they did it.
It is not only the worst Tony Hawk game; it is one of the worst games ever made.
Yes. And especially from a major publisher.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
I'm sorry, I put all of the onus on Activision. It's I'd be hard pressed to believe that devs with that type of timeline and the
I'm
budget
sure they did not feel good about it.
Activision basically just threw money into a hole and just
I don't like Robomoto is probably one of my least favorite developers of all time.
Yeah.
They consistently fucked it up. And we go back to talking about like Guitar Hero Live.
Mm-hmm.
The other example from this year of Activision digging up a dead franchise and like Weekend at Bernie'sing it out onto the like Guitar,
that game was kind of cool.
Guitar Hero Live was made by Freestyle Games, who
Yes.
did DJ Hero, which DJ Hero fucking rules.
slaps.
Yeah, they have pedigree.
Yeah, and like Guitar Hero Live was, for all intents and purposes,
That was a solid game.
an amazing
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
It
I was gonna say, I bought
the
this.
problem was the the business model.
The
of
business
it.
model, which is
With
Activision's
which
fault.
is Activision, yeah, the jukebox thing where you have to like put in virtual coins to play Guitar Hero TV, but like they filmed an FMV game in the 20 teens and like
And
they
you-
redesigned the guitar.
and
that was cool.
You have developers.
Mhm.
There exists a league of developers in this industry that will make your game that you want to make dirty and cheap,
Yeah,
and it will be competent.
A league
Rebellion.
of extraordinary developers, some would say.
Yeah. Rebellion is a perfect example
Yeah.
of this.
yeah.
Like-
Well, yeah, they're
And
going
they-
against the actual system.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They make their own games. I mean, for a while, Obsidian was that, and look at fucking Fallout New Vegas and KOTOR 2.
true.
Like, they were made on a tight timeline, and they're
Now they're
better
doing
than most
yeah,
games. Like,
They have that charm.
Yeah.
because like New Vegas is
so I'm not going to say it's not,
personality in spades.
I'm not going to say it
and diamonds.
is entirely, it is at the end of the day entirely Activision's fault because they hired Robomoto knowing what they could
Yes.
and could not do. And I'm not going to say it's not at all Robomoto's fault because there are developers that exist that given 10 months
more
could have done
experienced.
a more competent job. But overall, just a failure on everybody's
Holy
part.
crap.
And like
yeah.
Yeah, you're not joking. Like
pissing on the corpse of a
Don't worry, we're gonna get into
Rebellion is like, you think
Oh, yeah, they're
you-
prolific.
You think we're dead? Funny. And then they come back and like it's like every 4 games is a good one.
Mhm.
Hey, that's a decent batting.
Well,
average.
I mean, with the like obviously I haven't played a lot of these, but like
Yeah.
they're the Sniper Elite guys.
Yeah.
But they're also the Strange Brigade guys
Yeah.
and Gunlock.
So this, was this was what it was, and needless to say,
Guess the Metacritic.
none of us.
26.
Well, yeah, hold on. Needless to say, none of us are alone in our assessments. The anger and dismay was making waves across the community, media and non-media. People were commenting about how the visuals resembled PlayStation 2 software, the technical issues, charmless presentation, unexciting gameplay, repetitive missions, and inferior copies of environments seen in the OG releases. Nobody liked the stomping mechanic. It was a rush job, and we all knew.
Slam.
Yeah, welcome to the jam. Critically, Edge Mag labeled it as a, quote, insult to its history, to its licensed skaters and sponsors, to modern hardware, and to anyone that plays it.
Does Edge Mag still exist? Because they could definitely pivot in this day and age. Sorry. Go ahead.
Marty Silva at IGN wrote that the adjustments to the control scheme combined with its litany of bugs and general optimization were a constant hurdle, ultimately awarding it a 3.5 out of 10. Quote, its rare moments of nostalgic joy are drowned out by its abundance of faults. GameSpot's Peter Brown scored it even lower with a 3 in a review called Cheapskate. Yeah.
Nice, dude.
Marking on its numerous design missteps and disregard of the clever elements that made the earlier entries such classics.
Squeaky wheel.
Connectivity problems were prevalent too. You could get plagued with server reconnect screens. I failed to mention that. And yeah, not good when it demands a stable connection to do anything. He remarked that his only solution was to unplug the console from the internet once installing the patch.
But so would that fix a lot of
Fix some.
would that fix inherently it doesn't fix frame rate, but
What? Yeah.
connection could be tied to frame
Connection
rate.
can affect frame rate.
Especially the
for
stuttering.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, just the fact that you have to load other skaters into the environment.
Yeah.
Oh,
affects
yeah.
the frame
between
rate.
every
Yeah.
single.
Because it's using
Yeah.
its resources.
He did applaud the solid soundtrack, however. Him, along with Tim Geddes from Kinda Funny, who published what might be the most depressing and defeated Let's Play video on YouTube. I can relate.
I can hear him just in a monitor. Hey guys, it's Tim.
You remember?
mean-
I think Austin, you showed me that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
Eventually,
playing
just
Tony
like
Hawk
puts down the
5.
controller and walks away.
It's great. I mean, I love Tony Hawk.
He's usually very
Yes,
optimistic
yeah,
and
he's,
happy.
Yeah, he's sparky.
My favorite review, it's extremely apt with how I felt internally, is Jeff Gersman's over at Giant Bomb. Give it a read or listen to the podcast clip. It's a very not like this from The Matrix. He pleads whether a fan or just whoever not to touch it, do not spend the money. He chastises its loss of character and goes into detail on the trick system, load times, and overall structure, including the inability to skip tasks. I enjoy this final line. Quote, Don't waste your time. You deserve better. Tony Hawk deserves better. Hell, even Lil Wayne deserves better.
Yeah.
End quote. He earned it 1 out of 5 stars. Metro Game Central gave it a 2, drawing attention to its painfully obvious budget constraints and development cycle. But this seems to be the general tone with it. There's a 3.5 at EGM, a 2 at Game Revolution, a 3 from Slant, and a 1.5 at Games Radar and Official Xbox Magazine. I was shocked to see a 5 at Destructoid and 6.5 at Game Informer.
I was just about to say.
That's generous if you ask me.
I want to hear the one paragraph.
I think that's its highest
of this 6.5.
Yeah.
You know, besides all of the frame rate issues and how it runs and the connectivity problems and the loading and the graphics and the engine, it's just
it's better than getting kicked in the nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stomped out a flaming bag of poo this morning. So anything I experience is going to be better.
Oh, gosh. Ultimately, the panning resulted in a 39 and 32, respectively, on Metacritic. That's rare. So this makes it the 4th lowest PS4 title and 5th lowest Xbox One title.
Wait.
Like
You don't have 1, 2, and 3, do you?
So this was just above Notorious Square Enix Bomb the Quiet Man.
Okay.
In my heart. And Afro Samurai 2, which was yanked from markets and refunded to buyers after its first episode. I don't know if anybody...
Damn.
Yeah.
I want a glimpse inside that.
Yeah, right?
Gee.
I'm curious what else it's around.
Hopefully that's accurate, and I'm not.
All right, while you look for that, Game Informer, the gaming landscape has changed a lot since the series' heyday. But this title is stuck in a no man's land between not being good enough to replicate the past nor ambitious enough to move the franchise forward.
It doesn't read like a 6.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, no. Should have kept this one underground.
For comparison, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is tied for the 2nd highest rated game of all time on the website with Soul Calibur 1 and GTA 4, while Pro Skater 3 is tied for 3rd with Red Dead Redemption 2, Breath of the Wild, GTA 3 and 5, Mario Odyssey, Perfect Dark, Metroid Prime, Galaxy 1 and 2, and former topic Halo Combat Evolved. This broke the record for the largest critical drop-off of a single IP. So, like...
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, man, I had a lot of fun times with 2, man.
There was
what did Proving Ground get?
It was in, like, the high 70s.
Okay.
More like
But I'm talking about, like, a 98 and a 97.
Or like Project Hate.
Going... a 97 and 98 to then a 32 and 39.
More like Activision Wasteland.
Yeah. I hate them. More like...
Yeah.
I fucking hate them. Oh, shit.
Yeah, they really shredded it up.
Yeah.
Out of that, it received Worst Game of the Year in 2015 by Entertainment Weekly, GameSpot, and Polygon.
That's brutal.
Worst of the Decade by
Why
Game
even
Rat.
celebrate that? Or why, like, publicize
They don't do that anymore. I kind of wish they would. I wish outlets were a little meaner.
Dumbest bitch of the year.
Yeah, we do that.
That goes
because
to my neighbor.
Because we don't owe anybody anything.
Yeah.
All the gaming podcasts I listen to are too buddy with developers now, and they're all friends. They want the world to be a more positive place. No, fuck you. I like dumping on shit sometimes.
Yeah.
I still have the utmost respect for all of these artists because any video game getting made is impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's worse, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 or Silent Hill: A Short Message?
It's got to be 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 was free.
1 was free. But
that's true.
But it is like
a lot on the horizon though.
Yeah.
Might be able to redeem themselves.
But it's because you don't see that same mercy shown with movies for film reviewers.
Never mind. It's like a 60-point swing. There's nothing beating that.
It's
a 60-point swing. It's 98, 97, down to like a 35, 36.
98. I'm gonna check this. 98 to 32. What's the math on that?
66. So what did Short Message get? I'm curious.
It was like a 40 something.
Oh, see?
And Silent Hill 2 is I think the highest rated, the original with like a 92 or 93.
Yeah.
But it's otherwise GTA came close with the remastered trilogy.
Oh, but again, this is like they went back to the drawing. It's not that they didn't have it in them. It was like same thing probably where it was like development schedule and like it was all like that was due date.
Yeah.
With that team, right?
Yep.
It had to be for Grove Street. Yeah. So word of mouth spread and sales tanked. It was dire. Funny when you read that they just shared a release window with stuff like Lego Dimensions, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, and the soon-to-be disaster that was Rock Band 4. That was when I was resisting earlier when you brought up Guitar Hero Live. I'll eventually cover that. The double whammy of killing myself with gaming disappointments.
This
Not a competitive season, though, really is my point. And there were some awesome games in 2015, but it was a very front-loaded year.
Yeah, so this makes me think of like, instead of like a car just like driving down the road and then exploding, it like goes off the cliff and doesn't explode until it stops at the bottom of the cliff and then it explodes. That's the way I'm envisioning this, where it's like not a total drop off, but it's just like careening down a canyon.
2015, Metal Gear 5.
Yep.
Uncharted 4?
No, that was 2016.
That was 2016.
You did get Bloodborne.
Witcher 3.
Which
is on Game of the Year that year.
Yes. Life is Strange.
Skyrim? No, that was
that
12.
was 2011.
Wait, yeah, 11.
Oh,
11.
Fallout 4.
That's right. That's right.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Rise of the Tomb Raider. Yeah,
that was 2015.
Activision and Robomoto stayed pretty silent from the overwhelming lambasting. It wasn't even until several weeks after that they would speak on what happened with the previous gen versions. They clearly were delayed, although the fulfilling of a contractual commitment became more obvious when it was revealed that these ports would be shipping in December, just under the wire as defined in the fine print, and to be digital only with no online component. I mean, cool. And priced at $20.
Okay.
Still not... They're like, not.
Wait,
it's not even worth that, but like,
so it launched.
But a far easier pill to swallow.
It launched at 60, and then shortly thereafter, this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the balls on them, man.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
here we went gold. Here you guys go. And it's like the night of at 11:59. The guy shows up at the CEO of Activision's house, and he's like, and he's like plastered, and he obviously like got into a car wreck, and there's a fire hydrant tipped over out front of the guy's house. And there's a trail of blood up through the door.
Meanwhile, the developers did distribute updates in a last-ditch effort to amend the frame rate drops, server stability, and nixing of most of the invasive glitches prior to losing access to the property. That November,
he got locked out.
Tyler, the creator, and the Ninja Turtles were added in a patch.
Damn.
What?
Yeah, for reals.
Yeah. Also, Tyler, the creator, again, does not have a song on the soundtrack. Bizarrely, there were also skins for Octodad, as well as Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank, A Little Big Planet Sackboy, and Twisted Metal Sweet Tooth, exclusive to PlayStation platforms, and Cuphead Mugman and the protagonist from Sunset Overdrive on the Xbox side.
Yeah.
As sort of cool as that sounds, these were hardly anything. It wasn't dissimilar to the Mii costumes in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Not a real part of the roster, just outfits.
Yeah. Did you guys hear Sackboy has been erased from the intro video?
Boy.
That's crazy.
No, you know what's really crazy, and this is I'm gonna go more on this in a future topic. Little Big Planet 1, 2, and 3 are all delisted. So the only Little Big Planet game that exists right now for you to buy is the Sackboy Adventure platformer, which is like
the most recent one, PS4.
Yeah. But or PS5. I think there was like a launch.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it had a dual release. I think it was on both. But that's not even really a Little Big Planet game.
That's crazy.
They did him dirty.
Yeah, they did.
He was in that fucking terrible show. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't. That's out.
Secret Worlds. You didn't watch it?
Keanu?
There's a Concord episode.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Keanu is like the best part of that thing. Me and Austin.
Was there a Brink episode? It's just all canceled and shuttered games.
A lot of it is. Or barely
sick.
properties that even relate to games.
Oh.
We watched like the Pac-Man and Mega Man one. They were all like, it sucked.
They should have called him Sack Man.
He was in there
with
the Helldivers.
Yeah.
You mentioned that this 360 version was $20.
Yeah.
And the other one was $60.
Yeah.
That's flipped now on eBay.
That's good.
Wait, I thought the old gen ones were digital only.
No, apparently there
That's
were
what it said.
physical versions of it.
Shit.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's in every territory?
Unless these people are lying.
It might have gotten a physical release in Europe.
Oh, that might be it then.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Or maybe that's flipped.
It's weird because like around this time, XBLA just kind of took off in the previous years. So all you were getting was like indie titles. You weren't getting like major releases because like this is I mean I know that publishers would also fund indie titles, but like Tony Hawk just being because was HD just
that was like a $15-$20 thing.
All right, then I stand corrected.
So here's the thing.
Okay,
I found multiple entries for this, and they all just have generic artwork that says RP for the thing.
It's a code.
No, I found one that has a disc. It's Canadian, which means it's the same region as us, but it might have had physical only in Canada.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Weird.
But that's the same region as us.
All right.
Dumbass Mounties.
Yeah.
Once the 360 and PS3 build squeaked out, everybody washed their hands of the whole thing. By January 31st,
the whole dev team went into witness protection. It's so funny that there's no like interview or like information about
none
the development.
Nobody spoke out.
And I was like, man, why wouldn't you want to come out and say something? They probably like
laser pointers.
They probably signed NDAs to never speak of this.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Like 20, 30-year NDAs.
By midnight, January 31st, well, I guess that would be 11:59, January 31st, 2016, the relationship between our two parties had quietly ceased.
That might be, it might not be that far off. Not an NDA necessarily.
Yeah.
But there was that thing when the GoldenEye thing came out for 360, the Xbox, like the emulated one
ports.
on Game Pass or whatever. And it was not a great port. And people had to like dig and find who actually did the port. And they were on Twitter. They were basically like, we're not allowed to talk about it.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there is,
and they're also like, we're not allowed to patch it either. The contract is over.
Was it a chokehold? What is it? Nothing. It's like a lawyer. It's in.
I don't know.
I forget what the term is.
So but you're right. At this point, like, say like a game-breaking bug was discovered in Tony Hawk 5 that January, they couldn't touch it.
Yeah.
They didn't have access to it.
Oh man, I wonder what a speedrun of this game looks like.
I wonder.
We just clip through the map and there you go. Credits.
So I love this part because this just then fueled the conspiracy that like was this on purpose?
Oh,
like was like
to smear the good man's name.
I mean like it's like this act. I mean it's like did the publisher intentionally sabotage through neglect or bad faith the reputation of the franchise? Like, was the earth now salted, thus making the brand less valuable than it was so that competitors would feign interest in even purchasing it? Like, more importantly, could there be legal repercussions? If so, like, and could you prove this in a court of law?
Yeah.
Like, did Hawk himself have a case? Because he got screwed over too. Like, I'm sure there's record keeping that like will tell the story of how this was always going to fail due to its like minuscule access of resources that were allocated elsewhere. Robomoto was thrown in front of the bus in the midst of it, and there was a non-zero chance of them being able to join in with him on a crusade. Like, it's like, there is a name for it when it's like I said, if you can prove that like this was like basically being like
sent to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I'm trying to think of the term. That's why I
fraud.
Yeah, I guess,
kind of, but it's like
breach of contract. Maybe
purposeful, like purposefully knows.
Something like wrongdoing. I don't know,
spiking the ball.
There's a one-worder for this.
Intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Perhaps
no slamming.
Perhaps
nice good one.
Perhaps the path of least resistance, though, is the answer here. And rather than face a public dispute or spat with your partners that might lead to blacklisting your future career in the field, those involved simply tiptoed on. Not that many of them were long for this industry regardless. 11 months following Pro Skater 5's meager drop to households, Robo would effectively be out of business. The licensing collaboration with Activision wasn't renewed, although it wasn't until January of 2017 that the Birdman would announce his departure from the company. This during production of Tony Hawk's Skate Jam for iOS and Android, released in 2018 and 2019, depending on your phone manufacturer. It was the first title to bear his name on a self-funded project. Reception was mixed. I don't know. It was a free touch base. But
real quick.
Yeah.
11 months after the game release, they shut down?
Yeah.
Okay. Did it say anything about them having a game that was in production being canceled?
No.
Because right.
Yeah.
So I just kind of see them all coming into work after like those.
What did they do for those 11 months?
It's just everybody shuffled in with their heads down.
Yeah.
And they just like walk up to each other and be like, I guess we'll work. It's like
they can't even patch the game that they made. So it's
like after that deal ended, they just like, what do you do? I'm sure that there was something in the pipeline. I don't know.
Was there a new Justin Timberlake movie to latch on to?
Maybe they were the actual founders of Brink.
Unfortunately for him, the Call of Duty guys did retain the full rights to the Pro Skater branding. He had lost any authority, and there was little he could do. No one knew what was next for the franchise or if this was it. Dedicated fans carried themselves via emulation and were securing his legacy through conversion mods, such as Thug Pro for the PC that expanded off of Underground 2.
I gotta say,
it's neat. Yeah.
While I loathe most people in this like video game, like consuming industry or not industry, in the consumer market, like a majority,
the
like
business.
Yes, modders, speedrunners, like these people that like. Not only
more dedicated than
they are,
else,
they are the true keepers of time. It's like there's like these niche communities out there where games never get old. Like there's people that are like shaving milliseconds off of like Mario runs and shit like that. Like these,
look at the Melee community.
Right,
Nintendo actively does not want them to exist.
Right, and it's like
they're fighting to stay alive.
It's just so funny to me how this industry is like on the business end so cutthroat. But then on the consumer end, like the really good consumer end, is like so
who's like doing all of this work for free and
it means so much. Like it's so crazy.
I mean, that's
still charting Rock Band songs.
That's every like art form as entertainment as business.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was like the same thing where like I've been talking about a lot recently, but like with Magic the Gathering, like Wizards has dipped toes into AI art.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I went to that Magic convention and there's lines out the door to get your card signed by the dude that
the artist
drew it, you know, like
I had that done.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, like those artists get paid way like not nearly enough for how much they add to the game.
Yeah.
In a similar vein to like, you know, game developers don't get paid nearly enough for how much value they bring to the industry, but then like sometimes, you know, fans being that obsessed with something, even if it's Tony Hawk 5, like there are probably people who speedrun this game.
Yeah.
There are probably
people speedrun any game.
There are probably people still somehow figured out how to play it offline and are still posting about this game on some forum somewhere. And
I mean,
one dude from Miyamoto who worked on it is like, it's probably like a black mark on his career, but at the same time,
to somebody else there, like
to somebody else.
I'm pulling such an obscure reference, but like there's one game where like one of the developers like worked on it for like 13 years after it came out, secretly releasing patches.
I feel like I've heard this before.
I might have even been a story that you guys have told. I doubt it if it would have rung any bells, but
I mean, I think that's happened more than once.
Yeah, but I was gonna say,
there are definitely instances of like modders needing help with code and like old devs coming to the rescue.
Right.
I believe that might have happened with Daikatana.
Oh, okay.
If that's what you're remembering.
Okay.
It might be.
It wasn't that the developers released a patch. It was that
the
modders
were.
Needed help, and
the
believe
dev reached out.
I believe
gave them a bunch of source code.
What's his face? John Romero might have actually helped them.
He's the kind of person that would definitely.
Speaking of which, little aside, Secret Lair stuff. Yeah. I saw some art today. It's like 50s or like not 50s, like 60s, 70s folk art.
Yeah.
Like that shit just hit so hard with me because it was like those magic cards of like really early where it's like you almost like, did they get their kid to draw this? But there's like so much like spirit in it and like Sorry.
Oh, you're good. So controversially, while Tony was giving interviews on Skate Jam, he chose to take on the views and responses of Five in stride, often sharing memes and making jokes on Twitter that the bad reviews were fake and that the true Pro Skater 5 was coming in the form of Pro Skater V, a cheeky reference to Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain, another release from the same year that experienced similar pushback with claims of being an incomplete package, like a story, but it was valid, but it was still a masterpiece in spite of it. So, but good nod there. We gotta get to that tale. It's been on the docket since this shit was formulated, MGS5 and PT. But
yeah,
because like that whole narrative, like towards the end with the
should have called it NR. So PT for Norman Reed.
It was then in February 2018 that the game would experience its one of two delistings. There were reports that the online servers were to be sunsetted, though reps reassured on Twitter early that March that they basically affirmed that it would return following a repair to matchmaking issues. Like anybody who's left even playing this. They did stick to their guns, and it soon went back for sale. This was till in May of 2020 when it was permanently removed forever. This, according to Google Cache Archives. Not that there was a single soul who shed a tear, but that doesn't mean it still isn't bullshit. You can't erase the past, and as much as you wish you could, everything should be properly preserved. I don't care how.
Oh yeah, no, I was actually just thinking about this, and we were talking before we recorded. Like, I just can't fathom how you make something and then just like make it not be available
that it's
anymore.
just temporary. Like,
Mm-hmm.
It's
no matter
so
what buggy
wild.
mess or whatever, it's like, just let me download the files.
Yeah.
Even if I can't access them, extract them, whatever. And I know that's stupid.
Well,
it's like, why would you buy something you can't
it's scary.
but-
Imagine a world where Stadia really, really took off, and then like you wouldn't get files anymore. You would just stream games. There'd be no modding.
We might be slowly
getting there. Yeah, they fucked it up, but somebody else will do it better. I mean, I know Amazon and whoever's trying, but like,
Xbox with cloud.
Yeah, exactly. And when they can figure it out, I mean, it's like first you take away the physical games, then eventually take away the digital too.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
Woof.
yeah.
There was that Ubisoft guy that was like, "You don't actually own your game,
yes,
assholes," and everybody's like, "Fuck you."
yeah.
I don't want to own your games.
Yeah,
They suck.
but we don't buy any of yours. How's that gonna go? No formal statement was ever like explained. I'm gonna chalk it up to music or license rights expiring.
Probably.
They weren't going to re-up that.
Oh, wow,
They probably
Not for
signed
this.
any license, anything that had to be licensed. They probably licensed it for the shortest legal amount of time because they knew this was
Yes,
going to be a
definitely.
bomb. And
Because there were even like
5 years,
Vans is
I'd
like in
imagine.
it or whatever.
no, it was a year.
Yeah. No. This is it being like fully stripped off. That was 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
So I'd assume like a 5 year.
Oh, so yeah, 5
deal.
years.
They
Okay.
just stopped supporting it and stopped selling it.
Because I'd assume they had
or-
to get the rights
Sorry, the servers.
before they released it during development.
Yeah.
So
with that, it seems as if the once unstoppable franchise had been abruptly forsaken and left to rot in the intellectual property graveyard.
record scratch.
But yeah, that's enough of the gloom because I'll also bet that it ain't no fucking coincidence that on this exact same week, a killer top to bottom remake of the first two Pro Skaters was inbound. 1+2. Vicarious Visions was heading development. Activision now gave a damn again. Tony was brought in. Who'd notice 5 being disposed of? This was the same week. Like
maybe that's why they did it.
yeah, we don't want anyone to associate
Yeah,
because if you just Googled Tony Hawk game, you don't want like that to pop up, right? The studio had even obtained Neversoft's original code and layered it beautifully over their own modern assets. It featured all of the OG levels and athletes, almost all the soundtracks and modes. This, along with tons of new content with it, plus it ran fantastic and at 4K with crisp animations. By fall, it was out for just about every system with 8th generation upgrades on the horizon.
This game saved me during COVID.
Yeah.
Is this not Activision?
No, this was.
Yeah,
That's the
right.
crazy thing. Because it was a fucking smash, near
What a
universal
joke.
acclaim and becoming the fastest selling member of the family to date. It later won awards, including at the Keeleys. That was sick. Old heads are happy. Zoomers are happy. You know, we each shared a sigh of relief.
We can change it to the Ferrises now.
They'd somehow righted the ship, pulled themselves up from the mud, and Tony Hawk was fucking back.
Yeah.
And because you say it was Activision again, but it was this is completely new management.
No,
Like,
well,
yeah.
I was just gonna say the new one's coming out shortly.
Yeah.
And I think the release schedule for the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 it directly coincides with Bam's dip into drugs and alcohol. And now he's coming out
Tony
of it.
fought for him to come. Yeah.
Now he's coming out of it, so it's literally like the release of 1 and 2.
He is attacking Jeff Tremaine and Johnny Knoxville again about not, getting kicked out of Jackass. But yeah, Vicarious Visions, they slayed it, and too bad this successful redemption was just met with grievances for the talented crew responsible. Instead of getting to keep the ball rolling with plans for 3+4, the team went from a subsidiary of the illustrious publisher to, in January of 2021, being folded into a merger with Blizzard to provide support for the then upcoming Diablo 4. And so, that's when...
I didn't know they pulled Vicarious Visions off?
Yes.
Oh, they
bought them.
Well, they owned them, but the company, shuttered the company
and just absorbed
took the employees.
This is when those
Blizzard
remasters...
Well, got to give them credit where credit's due. They could have just cut that limb off.
Mm-hmm.
This is when those remasters were frustratingly scrapped. However, upon the uproar of hobbyists requesting they get to finish what they started, it was touted on March 4th, 2025, that the project was revived with Iron Galaxy at the reins.
Oh, wow.
I'm obviously excited. I trust they're able to walk in Vicarious's footsteps. We'll all know definitely together on January 11th this summer,
July 11th.
July 11th, sorry. This summer in January. And this is set to be the first launch in conjunction with Game Pass as per the Microsoft acquisition. So that's the goat fuck that is or was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, an abysmal reminder of what you get when an underfunded and inexperienced developer gets no time to tackle an impossible goal. The stamp of its monicure, and I know I've said that a bunch of times, but with it, just because it really was impossible. But the stamp of its monicure may be a blemish on the series for all eternity, but luckily for us, the tailspin was corrected. Is a remake of Underground in the cards next? I hope to lay eyes on an entirely new entry soon. Come on, let's do it.
Dude,
Resident Evil does both.
1 and 2, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
This one's going to be successful.
Yeah.
You definitely do 1 and 2.
I think so.
And we don't look at this as a stain or we just look at how far from grace angels can fall.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lesson. Damn.
Tony's out there fighting the good fight to get re-releases of the catalog. Love that. All the way whatever you can get, particularly in this drought of AA to AAA extreme sports games. As for this, copies are cheap. If you want to subject yourself, that's if any of this shit still works, of course, without...
There are varying reports as to whether you can even play this game anymore.
Yeah. I would die to touch this game.
I told Austin, before we started recording, I was driving around trying to find a copy.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I missed that too, yeah. And it was none of the local stores had one.
Because why would you?
You're right.
They're
It
not
didn't.
gonna-
It, no, yeah.
they're not
It
gonna let
didn't
you into
sell
the
well, and
personal
also
stash.
you would somebody would just return it.
Yeah.
More likely than the opposite.
Because there are probably ways to play it offline, but not ways that normal people are going to know.
I saw
imagine being able to return a video game. I've never done this because it doesn't work.
I mean, does GameStop still sell copies of Babylon's Fall or something? If a game gets shut down, do they have to pull that off the shelves?
Yes,
they should. But I'm sure.
I think so.
I mean, they did it with Conquest.
I feel like I've seen this somewhere. I was just researching something, but yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Lastly, it is my stance that if Pro Skater 5 was, sent out to die,
hold on.
What?
No, this is genius.
Okay.
You do 1 and 2 remaster. You do 3 and 4. Bitch, just remaster 5.
No, that's when you do Metal Gear Solid or Tony Hawk's Pro Skater V.
Yeah. Yeah, you make it, yeah.
No, you remaster 5.
Yeah.
I was going to
use the same code, put pretty new code
I was
paint on
going
it.
to say remake, but then I just stuck with 5.
So it didn't need to be this way, but let us forgive and forget. Robomoto, if you're listening, I exonerate you of your crimes.
Yeah, fuck Activision.
Yeah,
to death.
Exactly. The perfect bow on this in the form of a screenshot has to be the thumbnail, Austin. I got a thing. the highest rated community Build-A-Park was a vacant lot with the words "bad game" written in concrete slabs.
Shit.
Fantastic. So if you
shred it up.
Yeah, so if you like went in to like, you know, see what other players were making, that was always at the top.
Shit. That's awesome.
Yeah, because you could upload your park and download any other park too. So
No, this is just community voted, man. This is what you guys have to live with. Activision, this is your legacy.
I love up to the point though. And that is it. Thank you guys. This was an emotional one for me. Probably like less. I mean, you guys made it funny, but it was less funny and more sad.
Yeah, it is. But like, obviously, in today's world, like we have 1 and 2, the remakes.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel
all those. I feel like
you're right.
These the wrongs were righted.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what happened to those people. Hopefully, none of them.
This was just the dark middle chapter.
Yeah.
Shout outs to my sources, Moby Games, Giant Bomb, GameSpot, IGN, Game Informer, Eurogamer, Game Rant, Destructoid, Kotaku, Games Radar, VG247, Vice, Crave Online, Metro, Metacritic, EGM, Game Informer, Polygon, The News Hub, and Pace Magazine. Apologies for the lack of recent uploads. We had wedding stuff, a few other things, but I got scripts in the work. Good shit. So please stay tuned. Final note, apparently we were DMCA'd on the Dante's Inferno recording.
Yep.
So I'm afraid there will be no more licensed music on the outros.
This is the worst episode to
I
not
know.
do licensed
I know.
music.
Damn it.
I'm mad. And
I don't remember singing in that one, so yeah.
So, Austin, do the plugs while I play CKY's Quite Bitter Beings in my head.
As Randy said, thank you for listening. If you want to hear more, we have tons of episodes at hotbuttoncast.com.
That we do.
Also, all the podcast services that you know and love, we're on there. And if you want to be up to date on our releases, you can follow our socials, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at hotbuttoncast.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm going to go try out that copy of Proving Ground I bought. It's the only mainline entry I've never beaten. So I'm going to sit down with that.
Wild night ahead of you.
Yeah, I know. It's not backwards compatible either. I should have said that. None of these are.
Oh, shit.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
But we'll find out.
All right.
So no.
Boots to the ground reporting. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.